27 countries, around 450 million people, 24 official languages, and one government that sits above all of them, that can write laws which override the laws of nations, spend a budget of over €1 trillion, and whose rules quietly shape products sold on the other side of the planet. It is not a country. It has no army of its own, no single president, and no power to tax you directly. And yet, it is one of the most powerful political entities on Earth. Most people, including many who live inside it, could not tell you who actually runs it. So, let's fix that. This is how the European Union actually works. Start with the thing everyone gets wrong. The European Union is not a country, and it's not just a free trade deal either. It's something in between, and genuinely new. It's a supranational union, 27 sovereign states that have agreed to pool some of their power and exercise it together through shared institutions and shared law. And here's what makes it real, rather than symbolic. In the areas where the countries have handed over authority, European law comes first. If a national law clashes with a European one, the European one wins. It began, of all places, with coal and steel. In 1951, 6 countries that had spent the previous century tearing each other apart put the raw materials of war under joint control. Because if your neighbors help run your steel industry, you can't easily build tanks to invade them. From that single cynical brilliant deal grew a common market, then a currency, and finally a union with a parliament, a court, and a government of its own. There are 7 institutions. Let's start with the one that's actually yours. The European Parliament is the only part of the entire EU that you elect directly. Every 5 years, those 450 million citizens vote, and they choose 720 members, MEPs. And here's the first surprise. They do not sit by country. A German, a Pole, and a Portuguese, who all believe roughly the same things, sit together, in the same political group. Greens with Greens, Conservatives with Conservatives, Socialists with Socialists, right across national lines. The Parliament has real teeth. It co-writes and passes the Union's laws. It approves or rejects the enormous EU budget. And crucially, it hires and can fire the EU's executive. No commission can take office without the Parliament's vote, and the Parliament can throw the whole commission out. It even has 2 homes, a quirk of political compromise that sends the entire institution shuttling between Brussels and Strasbourg. Its president, currently Roberta Metsola, runs the chamber. But a parliament needs something to vote on. In most countries, the parliament writes the laws. In the EU, it doesn't. Someone else does. That someone is the European Commission, the strange beating heart of the whole system. The Commission is the EU's executive, its government and its civil service rolled into one. There's one commissioner from each member state, 27 of them, each running a policy area like a government minister, led by a president, currently Ursula von der Leyen. And the Commission holds a power almost no other body in the democratic world has, the near-exclusive right to propose new laws. Parliament and the national governments can ask for a law, amend it, or kill it. But in most areas, only the Commission can actually write and table it in the first place. On top of that, it's the guardian of the treaties. It polices whether the 27 countries are obeying the rules they signed up to, and if they aren't, it can drag them in front of the EU's court. Propose the laws, enforce the laws, run the day-to-day union. So, is the Commission in charge? Not quite, because it doesn't get the final say on anything. That belongs to the countries. And this is where it gets confusing, because the countries show up in two different rooms. Here is the single most confused part of the entire EU. And once you get it, the whole machine snaps into focus. There are two bodies with almost the same name. First, the European Council. The 27 heads of state and government, the prime ministers and presidents, meeting a few times a year in a summit. They don't write laws. Their job is direction. Set the union's priorities, handle the crises, decide the huge questions. Think of them as the board of directors with their own full-time chair, currently Antonio Costa. Second, the Council of the European Union, sometimes just called the Council or the Council of Ministers. This one does write laws. It's national government ministers, but which ministers changes with the topic. Farm ministers decide farm law. Finance ministers decide finance law. This is the state's chamber in the law-making machine. And its chairmanship rotates between the countries every 6 months. And a quick warning, because this trips up everyone, there's a third thing called the Council of Europe. It is not part of the EU at all. It's a separate, larger club of 46 nations for human rights that just happens to have a maddeningly similar name. Ignore it for now. Now we can watch a law actually being born. It's called the ordinary legislative procedure, and it's really a conversation between three players. The Commission proposes, it writes a draft and puts it on the table. Then that draft has to get through two separate chambers, and both must agree. On one side, the Parliament, the voice of the citizens. On the other, the Council of Ministers, the voice of the member states. The Parliament amends the text. The Council amends the text, and they pass it back and forth until the two versions match. Much of this is hammered out in closed-door meetings between the two sides, called trilogues, with the Commission in the middle brokering. Only when the Citizens' Chamber and the States' Chamber both say yes does the proposal become European law, binding across all 27 countries at once. It is, in effect, a two-chamber legislature, one house for the people, one house for the nations. If that sounds familiar, it should. It's the same basic idea as many national systems. The EU just spread it across a continent. But a law is only worth as much as the thing that enforces it. And this is where the EU has a secret weapon that turned a trade club into something much more. The Court of Justice of the European Union, sitting in Luxembourg, interprets the Union's law and makes sure it means the same thing in every country. And decades ago, in a couple of landmark rulings, this court established two principles that quietly rewired Europe: that EU law has direct effect. Ordinary citizens can rely on it in their own national courts, and that it has primacy. When it clashes with national law, it wins, full stop. That means a national law, passed by a national parliament, can be set aside because it breaks a European rule. No treaty spelled that out in so many words. The court built it, case by case. More than any summit or election, this is the machinery that made the Union genuinely supranational, rather than just cooperative. Then there's the money. And here, the Union splits in an important way. 20 of the 27 countries share a single currency, the euro, and their monetary policy is run by the European Central Bank in Frankfurt, led by Christine Lagarde. The ECB sets interest rates for the whole Eurozone and is fiercely independent, deliberately walled off from the politicians so that no government can simply print money to solve its problems. And watching over the spending is a seventh institution, the European Court of Auditors, whose entire job is to check that the Union's budget, funded by the member states, is actually spent the way it's supposed to be. a parliament, a commission, 2 councils, a court, a central bank, and the auditors. That's the 7. But the Union is bigger than its 7 headline institutions. Underneath the big 7 sits a whole second layer, the part almost nobody sees. The EU runs dozens of specialized agencies scattered across the continent, each doing one job. A medicines agency that approves the drugs Europeans take, a police cooperation body that helps national forces chase criminals across borders, a border agency that patrols the external frontier, a food safety authority, and many more. It even has its own diplomatic service, a foreign ministry in all but name, and its own bank, the European Investment Bank, one of the largest lenders on the planet. And then there's the reach that shows up on no org chart at all. Because the EU is such an enormous market, any company that wants to sell into it has to meet its rules on privacy, on chemicals, on safety. And it's often easier to just apply those rules everywhere. So a regulation written in Brussels quietly becomes the standard in factories and boardrooms all over the world. People call it the Brussels effect, the Union exporting its rulebook without firing a shot. So step back and look at the whole thing. A parliament you elect, a commission that proposes and enforces, a council of leaders that steers, and a council of ministers that legislates, a court that binds them all to the same law, and a central bank that guards the money. 27 countries that remain fully sovereign nations, with their own armies, their own taxes, their own borders, and yet have handed a real slice of their power to a shared machine and agreed to be overruled by it. It is not a country, and it never quite became one. It is not a normal international organization, because those can't make law that overrides their own members. It is a third thing, still being argued over, still being built. A permanent tug of war between the nations that want to stay in charge and the Union that keeps pulling them closer together. Whether that tension is a flaw or the whole point is the question Europe has been asking itself for 70 years. And so far, the answer has been, keep going.